And good evening and welcome to this special panel debate tonight. Last week we were inundated with opinion pieces following Minister Lindiwe Sisulu's opinion piece about all matters constitution. She argues that the constitution has not worked for black people. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. But tonight, the experts will take us through some of the debates that are raised by that article and how that takes us forward. There are those who believe that that was a bridge too far, and there are those who believe these are the debates that we need to have in this country. So Justice Tacoob, who is a retired Justice of the Constitutional Court, is one of our panelists tonight. Pallo Jordan, who is Minister Sisulu's advisor or ministerial advisor, also on the panel, as well as Pallo Jordan from the ANC. Of course, here in studio, I'm joined also by Irvin Jim, no stranger to fiery debate. He'll also weigh in on that debate. But I want to start with Mr. Pallo Jordan, who is going to take us. First of all, welcome, gentlemen, to the debate, and thank you so much for your time tonight. Let me start with you, Mr. Jordan. Just in terms of the article itself, let's go through one or two big issues. In the public discourse, there are people who are saying, yes, there are important issues that are raised by the article, and there are those who are saying that the manner in which particularly the judiciary was dealt with is unfair and is a bridge too far. Give us your overall sense of what that article should mean for the discourse in South Africa. Feel free to tackle whatever theme from that article that you deem most important. Over to you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. Let me make one correction. I am not the minister's advisor. I'm a former advisor.
Former advisor, okay.
To the minister, yes. And with regard to the very important debate that ensued from the minister's article, let me also remind your viewers that the theme that was carried through in the minister's recent article was also started in her address to the National Democratic Lawyers Association, that's NADEA, last year, where she was very clear that there have been remarkable achievements in our constitutional democracy. We have made substantial progress in realizing some of the aspirations of our people, getting them the right to vote and so forth. But there was a lot more to be done. So if you were to look at the article without a bias and without this factional viewpoint that some people have almost intuitively adopted, you would understand that what she is saying is that the Constitution must be regarded as a living document. It cannot be frozen in time to say, because the Constitution was written in 1994, then it's good for all purposes, and it should never be questioned, it should never be challenged. We should never think creatively about ways in which we can improve, ways in which we can make the Constitution serve the needs of our people. After all, the very purpose of that Constitution was, one, to make sure that we have a stable and democratic system in which all citizens are treated equally. But most important, our Constitution is beautiful in the sense that it enshrines some of the rights that in other democratic countries are not expressly enshrined therein. For instance, I'm talking about social and economic rights.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we have here a former Constitutional Court judge, Justice Tacoob.
Yes. And
I'm ready to engage further on this issue. But I think there was an overreaction.
Yeah.
And there was, which was actually triggered by the unfortunate and misguided position taken by Justice Zondo.
Okay, talking about judges, Mr. Ngobeni, I'm glad that you you make reference to the judge. In the last part of the article, and I really found that a lot of seminal issues, like you are saying, are raised about the efficacy of the Constitution, its effectiveness, and so on. But in the last part of the article, judges come under fire as people who don't have a mind of their own, as people who are house Negroes, as people who are blacks who are most dangerous because they don't even have to be told how to side with the colonialists. That's where I would like you to help me understand whether that's not a bridge too far, Mr. Ngoben, in your view.
No, it's not a bridge too far. In fact, this is precisely why in a democratic discourse, in a democratic society, when you have a discourse, you're talking about a newspaper editorial, where the person does not have a chance to give you statistics, to give you empirical evidence of this or that. But the reality that we are facing now is that there are there is a serious cause for concern in terms of how some of our judges, you cannot talk about the judiciary as a whole. There are brilliant judgments. There have been great judgments from our courts. I mean, our law reports sometimes will make you very proud of some of the judgment that comes out of it. But there are certain judgments that are just very, very bad, including judgments from the Constitutional Court itself.
Yeah, I understand. But
if you are concerned about the fact that there have been some unfavorable comments made about some of the judges in a newspaper editorial or in an opinion piece, obviously that generalized statement was made. But if you want a breakdown, that there is plenty of evidence to show that some of our judges simply have not measured up.
Okay, let's go straight to the judge. Judge, your own view on the piece itself, helpful in terms of taking national discourse forward, particularly that we are marking 25 years of the Constitution. Surely, Constitution must come under review at some point to see where it has been strong, where it has been poor, or where it has been weak. Justice?
Of course. Of course, the Constitution is always under review. But then I must say something more about the article. The trouble is that obviously, as a politician, she said all these things to try and get publicity, and she has badly got the publicity she deserves. Actually, I think she got more publicity than she absolutely deserved. And I was thinking of not participating in this exercise and increasing her popularity in that way. But then I thought I'll probably turn it around and talk about the Constitution. The first thing I want to say is that she is absolutely right in saying that the rule of law in isolation is nonsense.
Yes.
She is wrong in saying that that is what the rule of law is like in our country, because in our country, and in terms of the modern and proper definition of the rule of law must be measured in terms of the instrument which backs it up and in which it is. If the instrument backing up the rule of law is evil, then the rule of law is evil. If the instrument backing it up is good, it is good. So my view is that it is good. Number two, she has every right to criticize the judiciary in the terms that she did. And therefore, I have every right to say that her criticism is idiotic, stupid, flat-footed, uninformed, and Paul's attempt to justify her position by reference to what he said at the Nadir meeting, which I've looked at, is actually quite nonsensical. She has put her foot into it, and that is it. And really, it's a political maneuver, and if the people want to believe her, they must believe her. But she really is, and because she has said things about judges, I can say things about her. She is I actually loved her in 1990, a great deal. But now I have to say that she has become idiotic. And I may say to her for consolation that maybe I have to. Thank you.
Okay. Judge, surely a number of it, I've looked at the article in detail, a number of issues that she's raising about, for instance, you know, the fact that, I mean, in summary, in a way of paraphrasing, that the ordinary black person who is without a house, a shelter, water, and so on, has not harvested the dividend of freedom. That's one thing that she's raising. And then she's saying, right, that there are judges who almost are continuing worse than the apartheid state in a manner that they interpret the law. Is it, if we take away the insults about judges being house Negroes, which is something that I found puzzling, right? Is it a correct assessment to say that more needs to be done for the Constitution to speak to ordinary black people who are suffering, who are in poverty? She questions why is it that you've got billionaires and millionaires overnight who suddenly are the ones who have reaped the benefits of the constitutional order, and not their ordinary supporters who are still starving. Surely that cannot be dismissed out of hand, Judge?
Let me say I agree that the poor people are in a very miserable state in this country, and I still literally cry from time to time thinking about that plight. I would never live it, and I would have committed suicide. So she is right. And to the extent that she intends to express concern about all poor people who have suffered miserably since 1994, she is right. The problem is, what is responsible for that suffering? Is it the court? I say no. I wrote the Grootboom judgment, in which we spelled out the government's obligations in relation to housing, and that was never complied with. And it was the interesting thing when the Delft, her gateway housing project, and you will not believe what she said, my friend. What she said was that if the people don't cooperate with government, we will remove them from the waiting list. So that is the kind of concerned minister with African values that we are dealing with. So the problem is, who is the cause? The cause is the African National Congress. The cause is her as housing minister, because I must say now, and even Paul will never be able to debate these, that the houses in Soweto, Umlazi, Chatsworth, and all, built during apartheid, are much better and solid than the houses the government is building now. And she was part of that government. And by the way, I love her African dress. I looked at her, and she dresses like a wonderful African person, and I'm sorry I forgot my tie.
All right, Judge. Let me go to Tate Jordan. Tate Jordan, please weigh in your own view about some of the issues raised by the minister. Surely stuff that we need to ponder on, but I also want to hear your view about whether you think her characterization of the judiciary in particular and the rule of law and what it should mean is a bridge too far or not. And Tate Jordan?
Yes, thank you. There obviously is no question about the need to treat our Constitution as a living document. No one questions either the right of any citizen to criticize any institution of government, be it the judiciary, be it the legislature, be it the executive. What we're dealing with here is the content of that criticism, and not the principle of the right to criticize or not to criticize.
Yes.
Now, when you criticize You are expressing an opinion.
Yes.
And you have the untrammeled right to express that opinion in terms of our Constitution. It's one of the rights that we fought for and that we attained in South Africa. So in that respect, no one is questioning Comrade Lindiwe Sisulu's rights with respect to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But that doesn't equal a license. You see, you are being offensive, unnecessarily so, when you refer to people as house Negroes.
Yes.
You are being offensive and unnecessarily so when you say people are being confused by foreign value systems. That doesn't add to your argument. In fact, it diminishes your argument. And it suggests that you are desperately clutching at straws and trying to show up your argument by being rude about the people you are criticizing. Now, in terms of the Constitution itself, to say that our Constitution has not abolished poverty, that can't be said about the oldest democratic constitutions in the world. There is amazing and shocking poverty in countries that have had democratic constitutions for 2 or 3 centuries. Ours, which is less than 50 years old, to say that it has not abolished poverty is not saying anything profound. And then to go on from there to say, well, if it hasn't abolished poverty, and she concludes by saying something which I found quite alarming at the end here of her article, where she says something to the effect, we have a neoliberal constitution with foreign inspiration, which is nonsense. But who are the interpreters? And where is the African value system of this constitution and the rule of law? If the law does not work for Africans in Africa, then what is the use of the rule of law? What is she suggesting me? That we shouldn't have a constitution? You see, those are the issues I think we should be discussing. Not whether she has the right to say or not to say. She has the right to say even that. But when she says that, she must accept that we will take issue with her. Because we do need a constitution. And if she is going to substantiate what she's saying now in terms of what she said to Nadal 2 years ago, I think these are two different approaches. In her address to Nadal, she says, our constitution has done a great deal. Here she says, what is the use of the constitution?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you combine the two? The two things don't gel together.
Absolutely.
Furthermore, yes. Furthermore, it is not the duty of the judiciary to make law. It is the task of the legislature and the executive then to carry out, to make sure that those laws are carried out. Now, Comrade Lindiwe Sisulu has been in Parliament, I think, since 1994, if I'm not mistaken. She's been in, I think, from the second administration, maybe the second NEC administration, she's been a minister, and has been a minister, I think, up till now. She's been a member of the National Executive of the ANC, well, for some years at any rate. I don't remember when she was first elected. But in none of these councils in which I've served with her have I heard her express these views. Now, they might have come to a, last week or the week before last. I mean, that's cool too. Right? But then to come and talk like this, as if, she has been hammering on this door about economic opportunities and that the Constitution is not giving the ordinary black South African what they deserve. Well, she should have raised these things a long time ago.
Okay, Dr. Jordan, let's pause it there. Thank you for your view there. I'm going to take a break and come back and continue the conversation. We are having a special panel debate about the Constitution, issues raised by Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, and a panel of guests weighing in on those views on either side of the argument. Stay tuned for more conversation after the break.